right, so this week we are going to be covering side bends and twists. And we're also going to be introducing two of the balancing poses that were not experienced last week. There just wasn't enough time in the practice. And then just a little bit of review of some of the previous balancing poses. What's interesting about the side bends and twists is that we're moving our body in, or moving our spine in particular, in different ways. And these are really good and healthy for our spine. A lot of times we do a lot of forward flexion, so rounding of our spine, which is natural, you know, and it feels good at some points, especially in our postures like our cat pose or child's pose, and even our seated forward folds. And then we come also into a lot of extension where we feel this back bending sensation. We feel like we're kind of stretching out the front of the body. And we'll be doing a lot more of those back bending postures later on, but we've already experienced a few of them, like in our cobra pose, as well as our cow pose. But these are going to be a little bit different because now we're going to be moving our body either in a lateral plane or a lateral side to side movement. So side bends. We're going to get into a lot of these muscles that are along the sides of the ribs. And when we get into those muscles that are tucked into the sides of those ribs, the intercostals, we're also working into a little bit of the diaphragm and stretching it in different ways so that it'll enable us to breathe better. So these are a lot of the breathing muscles of the body, the diaphragm that sits right at the very base of our rib cage, and then the intercostals that are in between the ribs themselves. So this is going to allow us to have a little bit more depth, perhaps, in our breath and to feel a little bit lighter and easier, less tense as we're trying to take that breath in. I'm sure that you've all experienced that sensation of being super stressed and not being able to take that breath in. So hopefully with this practice, we're going to start to stretch open those muscles and allow ourselves so that we can find that full opening and expansion through that aspect of our body. And then the twists are really nice because they also help to kind of squeeze and wring out in this squeeze and soak effect, which is what Iyengar kind of referred to it as. So when we squeeze and we rotate and we twist through our body, we're feeling this compression and this wrapping sensation, almost like we're wringing out a towel. And when we get that sensation, it's the soak effect that feels absolutely amazing. We literally are soaking up our muscles with fresh circulation. We're also doing more for our inner organs. So it's important to think about when we're doing super deep twists that we're not supposed to be eating super close to the time that we're practicing, because we're going to be squeezing, compressing, and kind of, wringing out. And we're going to feel that same effect in our stomach and our pancreas and our liver, and the intestines and the colon as well. So these are going to feel this nice ringing sensation, and it feels really good. Those of you who do happen to have scoliosis, depending on which shape of your spine curves, this might be a little bit more challenging in one direction, especially the way that you're kind of curving against. So twisting in that area is going to feel a little bit harder, whereas if you're twisting in the other direction, you're going to feel that there's going to be a lot more opening through that side. So just be gentle with yourself, be a little bit more compassionate with where you are today, and just try to take it easy. These are great ways to make our body feel a lot better. And I hope you enjoyed this practice. So we are actually going to start off in a child's pose position. So let's bring our knees and shins to the floor. Our hips sinking all the way back on top of your heels. Hit this gallery view. And then you can have your knees either wide open or you can have your knees together, whichever you prefer, but I do want your big toes to be touching so that you have your hips all the way back on top of your heels. So forehead comes down to the mat, either arms forward or down by your sides. We're just gonna feel the breath through the back body. So take a full breath into your low back. And a deep breath out. Feel free to open up your mouth and let the breath out slowly. And again, inhale. See if you can breathe into your low back and then let the breath rise up into your mid back. And deep breath out. Good. And then inhale from low back to mid back and then all the way up to the shoulder blades. And deep breath out. Good. Take one more full breath in here. And if your forehead is touching onto the mat, you may want to rock your head side to side, just massaging along the brow. If your head is hanging, you can shake it, yes or no. Just feeling any release in the neck. And then bring it back to center. I want you to walk your hands over to the right. So taking the hands off of the mat, all the way off the mat. Right hand is going to stack on top of your left hand. Head goes in between your arms, and then just lean your hips over to the left. Maybe even shift them over to your left heel as you stretch into that left side body. Good. Breathe into the left side of your arm and side waist, all the way down to your left hip. And deep breath out. Good. Then walk the hands back in through center and then all the way over to the left. Left hand is going to stack on top of the right, pinning it down and then leaning into your right side. And again, just breathing into the side body. Good. Walk the hands back in through center. And this time I'm going to actually change direction so you can see what I'm going to be doing. We're going to walk our hands over to the right. And I want your right hand to line up with your right knee. So it goes straight out horizontally from your knee. You're going to bring your left hand over as well, but you're going to have a lot deeper stretch than what we were doing before. So if I actually shift over, I can see a little bit more. So from here, you're going to place your right hand even closer to your right knee. The elbow's going to stack directly on top of the wrist. Press into your right hand and then push as you twist through your upper torso. So it's like you're turning your body over towards the right. Feel free to let your head either relax here, just hanging down. I want you to feel how the torso is going to rotate and wrap around. Think of kind of like a cement mixer, how your torso is going to spin around towards the right. Good. Release, turning your belly down. Walk the hands over to the other side. I'll change directions again for a little better view. So left hand is going to be lined up with your left knee. Right hand goes across, diagonal, and then you're going to push into your left hand, rotate through the belly, and see if you can turn everything over towards the left. As we're doing this, you want to see if you can keep your left hip grounded. So that's going to be a little bit harder for some of us. Trying to keep that left hip heavy and then spinning from the torso. You will feel a little bit of that lift, but I don't want that left hip to come up high just yet. Good. Walk the hands in through center and climb up onto all fours. Let's go through some cat-cows, just feeling our spine flex and extend. Fingertips are going to spread out wide into that starfish shape. Grip onto the mat with all 10 of your fingerprints. Inhale, draw the belly down, firm the shoulders back, lift the tail and crown, cow. Exhale, round the spine, kick into the tops of your feet. Really feel that pressure as you draw the navel in. Inhale, open up. See if you can feel this in the upper body. So up in the rib cage area mostly, because that low back can do a lot of work, but see if you can find it a little bit more in the upper back. Good. Exhale, round through the spine and see if you can feel this more in your low back. So really push into your knees and shins. Good. Inhale, open up and go through a few more rounds on your own, letting your breath guide you. And just take notice of what you're working with today. My husband and I went on a 3.7-mile hike up in the Tuckwitz Canyon area of the desert on Saturday. And so I'm feeling a little sore. And you might have something similar where you were doing something that you haven't done in a while, just noticing what changes and shifts. Maybe you're noticing that things are becoming a little bit easier for you as we practice. That your body is really opening and blossoming to the yoga practice, the asana practice. All right, and then moving back into a tabletop position. I want you to keep your left hand planted on the floor. You're gonna raise your right arm out wide and up towards the sky, like the wing of a bird, opening out to the side. Good, and see if you can reach it all the way up towards the sky. Big stretch, and now thread your right hand underneath your body, underneath and through that left hand and left knee, so much that your right shoulder tucks down into the ground. Good. So now right shoulder is on the ground. I'm not super close to my body. I actually want to have a little bit more space away from my legs. So my thighs are vertical here, but both knees are still on the ground. Left hand is going to be underneath the elbow. So again, I'm stacking and making that forearm vertical. I'm going to use that left hand to help turn and twist my belly towards the left. Getting a big stretch in the back of that right shoulder. Good. Jen, you okay with this one? Okay, good. And then pressing into your left hand. Inhale, raise the right arm out wide and up towards the sky. Exhale, right hand to the ground. Good. Inhale, left arm goes wide and high, reaching all the way up towards the sky. And then exhale, thread the hand through, scooping it underneath, and then over towards the right side of the room. Right hand is underneath your elbow, and you're going to push down to turn your belly over towards the right. So again, your right knee is going to want to get lifted and get light. See if you can keep it down and keep the movement into the torso. This is one of my favorite stretches, especially when I am sitting at a computer for a long period of time and those shoulders get so achy. This is a really good movement and stretch. Good. Pressing into your right hand. Inhale, left arm goes back up towards the sky where it came from. And then exhale, left hand to the floor. Let's curl the toes under. Lift the hips up high, downward facing dog. Hips go up towards the sky and then just pedal through your feet again, marching heels up and down. Maybe shaking your head, yes or no. Good, then take your feet wide in your down dog. So I want the little pinky toes to at least be hanging off the mat. Your heels are gonna make their way almost towards the ground for some of us, maybe all the way down to the ground, and then press back. Press back, use those hands, let your head hang down. Good, another full breath in here. And deep breath out. Slowly look between your hands. You're going to walk your feet forward to the top of the mat. Bring your feet about hips distance apart, toes forward, feet are parallel. Bend your knees enough so belly is touching onto your thighs. So a little, there you go, Jenna, nice. And I want you to let your head hang down. So the back of the neck is open and free. If you'd like to, and this felt good last time, you can interlace your fingers around the neck, wrap your elbows around your ears and face, and then drag your elbows towards the floor. Wonderful. Slowly release your fingertips down towards the ground. Let your head hang for another moment. And then inhale, lift to a flat back halfway up. Firm up your legs and shins. See if you can get the legs a little bit straighter. And then flip your tail up towards the sky just a little bit more. Shift more weight into your toes. Good. So your head goes forward. There we go. Woo! Exhale, fold forward. Bend your knees, belly to thighs. Hips high. Inhale, circle the arms wide, reach all the way up to the sky, upward hand salute, reaching through your fingertips, and then exhale, arms circle wide and down into your mountain pose. Take a full breath in here just to prepare yourself, feeling your four corners of your feet anchored down into the ground. Exhaling the navel in towards spine and feeling the engagement of your legs. Inhale, use the engagement of your legs as you reach your arms up towards the sky, upward hand salute. Exhale, fold in half, hinging from the hips, belly to thighs, head down. Inhale, right foot steps back into lunge. Hips down, chest lifts, look up, smile. Exhale, left foot steps back, downward facing dog. Inhale to plank, shoulders roll over the wrists, legs actively working here. Exhale, knees, chest, chin to the floor. Make sure that there's space underneath the pelvis so we're not just collapsing to the floor. Inhale, hips down, tops of feet to the ground. Lift for cobra. Squeeze and wrap your shoulder blades together. Keep your neck long. There we go. Exhale, lower down and press back, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot steps forward all the way. Look where you want it to go. Lunge. Exhale, left foot forward, standing forward fold. Hips high, head low. Inhale, reverse the swan dive. Come all the way up. Upward hand salute. Exhale to your mountain pose, standing tall. Inhale, upward hand salute. Bharadvajasana. Exhale, fold in half. Standing forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, left foot back into lunge. Hips down, chest lifts. Good. Nice. Exhale, right foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale to plank, shoulders over your wrists. Grab at the ground. Exhale, knees, chest, chin to the floor. Try to keep your hips up. There we go. Toes down, Jenna. There we go. Nice. Then hips to the ground, tops of feet to the floor. Inhale, the heart rises, the head comes along for the ride. Good. Exhale, lower, press it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot steps forward, lunge, all the way there. Look up. Exhale, right foot forward, standing forward fold, hips high, head low. Inhale, reverse the swan dive, squeeze from your inner thighs, reach through the arms. Exhale to mountain pose. Let's keep going. Inhale, the arms go up. Exhale, standing forward, fold. Inhale, right foot back, lunge. Exhale, left foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin, hips high. Good. Inhale, cobra. Now hips down, tops of feet into the ground. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot forward, lunge. Exhale, left foot forward, standing forward fold. Inhale, reach the arms up, upward hand salute. Exhale to mountain pose. Inhale, arms go up. Exhale, fold in half, hinge from the hips and take it down. Inhale, left foot steps back, lunge. Exhale, right foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra, anchor through your feet, lift through your heart. Exhale, lower, send it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot steps forward, lunge. Exhale, right foot forward, standing forward, fold. Inhale, reverse the swan dive, come up. Exhale to mountain pose. 2 more. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, fold in half. Inhale, right foot back, lunge. Exhale, left foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra, heart and back long. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale to lunge, right foot forward. Exhale, left foot forward, standing forward fold. You guys are doing great. Inhale, reverse the swan dive, come up. Exhale, mountain pose. Last one. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, left foot back. Exhale, right foot back. Inhale, come forward, plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, lower, send it back. Downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot forward, lunge. Exhale, right foot forward, standing forward, fold. Inhale, reverse the swan dive, up. Exhale to mountain pose. Stand tall, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in again, breathe out. Good, bring your big toes to touch. We're gonna make our way into chair pose. Want your big toes to touch, heels slightly spread. Bend your knees, sink your hips, touch the fingertips to the floor, sweeping them forward and up towards the sky. Sit down into your seat. Sweep the hands all the way across the floor. Interlace the fingers back behind you. Lift your hips high, head low. See if you can take the knuckles up towards the sky and keep the heels of the hands glued towards each other. Standing forward full with a shoulder stretch. Bend your knees again, sweep the fingertips across the floor, find your chair, and then come all the way up to stand. Interlace your fingers, point through the index, and then exhale over to your standing half moon, over to the right. Inhale, come up. Exhale to the left. Inhale, come up. Exhale, fold forward. Hinge from the hips, belly to thighs, hips high, head low. Let's try it one more time. Inhale, bend your knees, sink your hips, chair, arms come up. Exhale, belly to thighs, sweep the hands across the floor, interlace the fingers back behind you. Maybe change the crossing opposite thumb on top. You'll know because it feels weird. And then lengthen the knuckles all the way up and back. Hands sweep across the floor, bend your knees, sink your hips, come up to chair. Weight is back in your heels, shins firming back. And then come all the way up to stand, interlace your fingers, point through the index, reach all the way up, and then exhale over to the right. Inhale, lift up, and exhale to the left. Inhale up, And exhale, release the arms down. Good. Okay, so we're going to incorporate another arm movement. Okay, and this particular arm movement is going to be part of a future pose known as eagle pose. Now, eagle pose is a balancing posture, but it's a balancing pose that also has this really complicated movement for the arms. So I'm going to show you what this looks like, but we're going to try to work on this together as well. I want you to get the arms first before we try the balancing, because the arms can be a little bit complicated. And then when you're trying to balance, it's very difficult to try to think about, so many things at once. Okay, so what this looks like, you're going to bring your arms up towards the sky. If you'd like to do this with me, you certainly can. And you'll sweep your arms down. I'll have my palms facing towards the ground, and you're going to cross your arms like you're crossing shoelaces. So take your right arm on top. You'd like to cross above the elbows. Okay, so not at the wrists, but above the elbows. Bend the elbows, so now your right elbow is sitting into your left. Now I'm going to be mirroring you, so just know that for your own sake. Okay, so now notice how my palms are facing in the opposite direction from each other. The thumbs are pointing towards my face. I want you to take your top arm, that's your right hand. You're going to take it away from you. Just enough so that you can bring the palms towards each other. It may not look like palms. It may be just the fingertips actually coming into, the hands like so, okay? Eventually, those hands will line up, and eventually those fingertips will line up. My shoulders are starting to feel a big stretch with this one though, so it might take a little bit longer for me to get my fingertips up there. Don't worry about it, okay? If you're having trouble with this, okay, and just even stacking those elbows, sometimes if you have a bigger chest for male or female, then you're going to have an option of the bear hug. Okay, so for the bear hug, the top arm just goes into the top arm, and you're wrapping your hands around to the point where your fingertips are wrapping around your upper back, and maybe even reaching towards your shoulder blades. Okay, so those are your options. If you did not do this with us, let's go ahead and do it together, okay? So let's bring the arms all the way up towards the sky. Exhale, sweep them down, palms facing down. You're going to cross right over left. Bend your elbows. So now right elbow's in on the top, wedge into your left elbow. Bring your right wrist forward. So we're going to get that second wrap. And we're going to bring the palms or the fingertips towards your palm. I want you to press into your hands and lift your elbows up, and then shrug your shoulders down. You're going to feel this big stretch in the back of your shoulders. So this is a side view for you. Okay. Both sides and front side. Release the arms down. We're just bringing the arms up. Let's try the other side. Exhale. Bring the left arm on top of the right. Wrap at the wrists. And see if you can bring those palms towards each other. This takes a lot of rotation through our forearms and a lot of stretch into our shoulder blades. Okay, so if you have chronically tight shoulder blades or even tight wrists and forearms, that this might be a bit of a challenge for you. Okay, do what you can, reach the fingertips up, shoulders down, and then sweep the arms down and up, and release the arms down by your sides. Okay, so that should have felt like a lot of work in your shoulders. Did you guys have any questions about that in particular? How do we do? Good, good, good. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. But I want you to just kind of picture that and keep that mental note of eagle arms, okay, for the future as we go throughout the rest of the practice, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and start off at the top of the mat again. Let's bring the arms all the way up towards the sky, lift tall. Exhale, fold forward and hinge from the hips. Inhale, lift to a flat back, halfway up, thighs on shins. Exhale, fold in half. Inhale, walk your feet back into a plank position. So stack your shoulders over your wrists, keep them there, and just walk your feet back. Good. It's tempting to let the arms go back. Keep the arms where they are. Good. Then send it back, downward facing dog. Hips high, head low. Inhale, raise your right leg up towards the sky. Down dog splits. Exhale, right foot forward between your thumbs. Setting up for warrior one. Left toes forward about 2 inches and to the left a few inches. Spin the left heel down so toes are facing about 10 o'clock or 45 degrees. Keep the bend in front knee and arms come up towards the sky. Bend deep into that right leg. Wonderful. Big full breath as you wrap your left hip towards your right foot, lengthening up towards the sky through the front of your body. Feel like your rib cage is going to get pulled off of your pelvis, and as if somebody's lifting it up towards the ceiling. Wonderful. Exhale, you're going to sweep the fingertips across the floor. Taking the hands down, interlace your fingers back behind you, knuckles to the sky, head drops down. Squeeze from your inner thighs as the back of the neck remains long. Slowly lift yourself up to stand and straighten out your front leg. Straightening from the hamstring, squeezing from your inner thighs, plug into the ball of your right foot. Exhale as you hinge forward, going right through pyramid pose. Again, hips are still facing the front edge of the mat for our front stance position. Good, breathe in here. Madison, how are we doing here? If you need to, remember you can shorten your stance with this, especially if you have a wonky.
Today, so.
What was that?
It actually feels really good today.
Good, yay. I'm glad. All right. All right, guys, we're going to release our hands. Inhale, come up into your warrior one. Lift up. So as I was saying, if you're feeling like there's a lot of pressure in that back foot, shorten your stance so you can always bring your left toes forward even more than just the 2 inches. Again, it's a guideline. Let's bring our hands now to our hips. We're going to go right into warrior three. So you're going to keep your hands on your hips, bring your belly to your thigh, belly to thigh, push off of your back foot and raise your left leg up horizontal. Woo! Keep that weight in the toes as you lengthen your heart forward. And maybe bring your hands to your heart. And maybe arms go forward. Good. Bend your right knee, step back, warrior one. Up comes the arms, the torso. And then exhale, the hands to the floor. Frame the foot and step back, downward facing dog. Take a breath in. Exhale, open up the mouth and let out a sigh. Inhale, left leg goes up and back. Exhale, left foot steps forward, setting up for your front stance position. Right toes forward, couple inches, and to the right a few inches. Right heel spins down, so toes are facing 2 o'clock or 45-degree angle. Reach your arms up, warrior one. So take your time getting into the pose. You know, it's kind of funny that it's difficult to see this in a online class, but when I typically teach in person, the beginners tend to be the ones that are first into the pose. They're like, okay, I'm gonna get into this as fast as possible, and they realize like, oh geez, okay, I know what's coming. I know what's happening right now. And that the people who have a little bit of experience with the posture, you're like, okay, I'm gonna set myself up. I'm gonna slowly make my way into the pose and just feel like I'm building the posture from the ground up. And then you realize there's no rush. There's no rush to get into the pose, right? We just get to breathe and experience where we are right now. Good, another full breath in here. Hips are facing forward. Wrap your right hip a little bit more towards your left foot. Good. Exhale, sweep the fingertips across the floor. Weight is in your front foot. Keep the bend in the knee for now. Interlace your fingers, change the crossing, opposite thumb on top, and knuckles go up and overhead. Relax your neck. Slowly make your way upright. Good. Straighten out your left leg. Very slowly, squeezing those inner thighs together. Imagine you're wearing roller skates and you don't want to do the splits. Good. And then exhale, tip forward, hinging over that left hip especially, and coming into your pyramid pose. Parsvottanasana. And as you're in this posture, see if you can look at your back foot and notice, is my arch smashed into the ground? If so, push more weight into the outer right heel, and then maybe even peel the right toes up off the floor so you can find the four corners of that foot. And you can see if you can place the toes down and still feel the lift in the arch. Good. Sweep the fingertips across the floor. Bend your left knee. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, hands to your hips. Setting up for our warrior three. Belly comes to the thigh. Heart goes forward. Keep that weight in your front foot. And then launch yourself right up and off of that right leg. Good. Right foot comes up as high as it'll let you go, but try not to lift higher than your hips. Draw the navel in and lengthen through your spine. Maybe hands to your heart or the arms extend forward. And then bending your left knee, coming out of the pose, back into your warrior one. And making your way into your downward facing dog. Hands to the floor, left foot back, hips high, head low. Good, and looking between your hands, walk your feet forward to the top of the mat. We're gonna bring our big toes to touch, heels slightly spread. Bend your knees a lot, reach the arms up. We're gonna come into our chair pose. All right, so with our chair, we're gonna use our chair to get into our eagle posture, okay? We're just gonna do this together because we already know the arms. Put the weight into your right foot. Then lift yourself up onto your left tippy toes and then cross that leg up and over. So left toes are on the floor. Okay, and you're in this pee-pee dance pose, right? You're like, oh, I gotta squeeze and really tuck in. Okay? Now, let's bring the arms into the equation. I want you to bring your arms down, stack the right arm on top, bend the elbows and wrap up the wrists. Okay, so now that we have our arms in position, we can set ourselves up for the balance if you choose to. So just like our tree pose, where we have the toes on the floor, we can make our way up the leg. We're gonna do the same thing with our eagle pose. So you can always stay in this pee-pee dance pose, especially if your balance is challenged today. All right, so the next position is just to lift the foot up. Then beyond that is to wrap your left toes right behind the right calf, and then to sit into the posture. See if you can take 3 to 5 breaths here. Fixing your drishti on something that's not moving and hugging everything in towards the midline. Whew. If you happen to fall out of the pose, that's okay. Come back into it with care. And then untangle the arms and the legs. Reach the arms all the way up towards the sky. Exhale, fold forward, hinge from the hips, and take it down. Good, back into your chair pose for eagle on the other side. Bend your knees, sink through your hips. Good. I saw that there was a typing. Nope. All right. Now let's bring the weight into your left foot. Right leg's gonna cross up and over, toes to the floor. And now we're gonna bring the arms down. Left arm stacks on top, bend at the elbows, wrap at the wrists, find your eagle pose on this side. Okay, so this hips sink down, weight is in your left foot. Maybe the right toes come up off the floor, and maybe they wrap around your left calf. Sit down as the elbows rise up, fingertips up, shoulders drop, hips sink. Breathe. Untangle the arms, release the foot, reach the arms up towards the sky, and then exhale, fold forward, standing forward fold. Hang out here for another moment, breathe. Good, and then slowly reach the arms wide and high, reach the arms back up, and exhale your arms down by your sides. All right, quick moment. Anybody have questions about Eagle? Any questions, comments? Do we feel like we got it? Or at least got the gist of it if we couldn't balance in it? Good stuff. Okay, so let's continue on. Next posture is dancer pose, okay? Dancer pose is a bit of a back bend. And it's a shoulder opener here, okay? And you're gonna feel a little bit of a stretch in your hamstring as we're doing this posture as well. So I'm gonna demonstrate what I would like this posture to look like, and then we're gonna practice this together, okay? So I'm gonna stand sideways just so you guys can see, take a break, drink some water, whatever you need to do for your show and tell right now. All right, so I'm standing on my balancing leg, and I'm going to bend my knee and grab a hold of my foot. Okay, you can be in this shape the entire time and still just work on your balance and feel a stretch in that left leg, and especially into the thigh. Okay, when you're stretching here, try not to have the knee come forward or the knee go off to the side, but see if you can line up the knees and the thighs towards each other. Okay, it becomes a little bit trickier. Then you'll reach the opposite arm up towards the sky. You'll bring the gaze up along the length of the elbow. Okay, you can have your palm up, down, sideways. I prefer mine sideways personally. Okay, then from here, I'm going to kick my bent leg away from me. So I'm pushing my foot off of my body. I'm not just going to fold forward here, but I'm going to stretch my body like a bow. Okay, I'm kicking my foot into my hand, feeling that big shoulder stretch. I'm going to tip forward from the torso, lengthening out and still reaching through my toes. My gaze and my drishti is out in front of me. Okay, and then I come up to release. Okay, you guys feel okay with that one? We're all good? All right, let's hop up. Let's do it together. Standing on your right foot, bend your left knee and grab a hold of the foot with your left hand. Grabbing onto the outside or inside, I don't have a preference. There are different styles that do. My own personal preference is to the outside of the foot as opposed to the inside, but that's just my own personal preference here. All right, raise your right arm up towards the sky so that the elbow crease is level with your gaze, which is fixed on something that's not moving in front of you. Kick your left foot into your hand, pushing the foot away from the body. Then start to tip the pelvis forward, reaching your chest out in front of you and your left foot behind you. Good. Take a few deep breaths here. And then release when you are ready. Coming out of the pose. Woo! That standing leg gets a little bit tight. Okay, you can shake it out or roll the ankle a little bit just to kind of free up any of that energy that might be feeling like it's just condensed in that spot. All right, let's switch sides. Putting the weight into your left foot. You're gonna bend your right knee and grab a hold of your right foot with right hand, giving yourself a little bit of a stretch. This is known as just dancer prep. And you can always stay in this posture the whole time, especially if you have issues with your ankle. So maybe Madison, this might be a little bit better for you. Okay, and just you would have your fingertips along the wall for support. All right, raise your left arm up and then kick your right foot back. Then start to tip forward with your chest, right toes towards the sky, head and heart high, breathing as you kick into that right foot into your right hand. Coming out of the pose when you are ready, releasing hand and foot down. Woo, nice job, guys. All right, let's go ahead and we're gonna make our way to the top edge of the mat just for a moment. Let's reach the arms up towards the sky. Exhale as you fold forward, hinge from the hips, and take it all the way down. Inhale to a flat back, halfway lift. Exhale, fold in half again. Bend your knees a lot, sinking your hips towards your heels, and then have a seat. All right. So we'll work into a few of our seated twists now, and we'll finish up with my favorite, which is the seated side bend. So for the first twisting variation, I want you to bring your right shin, I don't think you guys can see this very well, the right shin, so it's parallel to the front edge of your mat. You're gonna bring your left leg to your hip. So now I've got the toes on my left foot pointed away from me. Okay, I'm gonna try to sit down into this left hip, but there's a lot of internal rotation that's happening here. So if you have tight hips in this direction, it might be a little bit more challenging for you to work with, okay? With this, sitting up as tall as you can, trying to keep both of your sit bones down. You're gonna take your right fingertips behind you and left hand across. We're moving into a posture as you look over your right shoulder, which is known as Bharadvajasana, okay? Or the pose dedicated to Lord Bharadvaja. See if you can keep lifting up taller through the torso and keep your rib cage stacked above your pelvis. Full breath goes in and deep breath out. And just think about that squeeze and soak effect that I mentioned at the beginning of this practice. That squeezing of all the muscles, all of those internal organs, kind of getting that wrung out sensation, so that when we return our heart through center right now, that we start to get that soak effect right into those joints. All right, we're gonna keep our right foot where it is. We're just gonna do a little bit of a hamstring stretch here. So if you remember this one, Ujjayi Breath, head to knee pose. I'm gonna show you from the side again, so that foot is tucked in towards that leg. Inhale as you reach the arms up towards the sky. You can always have a bend in the knee. And then exhale as you hinge forward from the pelvis. Toes go up towards the sky. Good, and the heel presses away from you. Lengthen through the back of the neck. And slowly draw your head towards your knee. Good. Inhale, reach your arms up towards the sky, lift all the way up. And then exhale, release your arms wide and down by your sides. Okay, so now we're gonna keep that right leg tucked in, left leg out in front of us. I want you to take your right hand underneath your knee and lift the knee up. You're gonna cross the foot to the outside of your left leg. So now right sit bone's on the ground and the foot's on the opposite side. Toes are gonna go in the same direction as the knee. Wrap the fingertips around that knee and just lift yourself up taller, hugging that leg in and trying to get the vertebrae to stack. Shoulders dropping away from your ears. Good, so this is just setting up for the next posture, okay? This is called half Lord of the Fishes pose. Okay, so these twists kind of have weird names, right? So half Lord of the Fishes, not to be confused with Lord of the Flies, okay, or Lord of the Rings. I want you to raise your left arm up towards the sky and then either wrap the arm around the knee towards your shoulder or chop the arm to the outside of the leg and take your right fingertips behind you. With the right fingertips behind you, they're not going so far back that your spine is at a diagonal. You still want to maintain that vertical spine. Then turn and look over your right shoulder. You can have your arms straight or the elbow bent, your preference. Eventually, this posture becomes a wrap where the arm tucks underneath and then the back hand threads through to grab onto your fingertips. Okay, but that's just the future of the posture. We're working with where we are right now. Just coming into this nice twist. Good, rotate your heart back in through center. And I want you to take your right leg out in front of you, or just keep the right knee bent and the foot on the floor. Bend your left knee so your shin is along the floor, and then bring your right foot to the outer hip, setting up for Bharadvajasana, okay, on this left side. So again, that hip sinking down, thigh rotating in on this leg, externally rotated on this side. Taking your fingertips behind you, you're going to take your right hand across and twist, looking over your left shoulder. Good. See if you can keep your spine vertical without feeling how the rib cage is going to bust open. Both sides of your waistline are just as long. So we're growing taller through the pose. Good. Hannah, see if you can keep your right hip down. That's the opposite one that you're moving away from. We don't want this hip pop, right? Hip pop, but the hip sitting down on the floor. Yeah, it's tough. I know. Good. Rotate your heart back in through center. You're going to take your right foot and swing it out in front of you, coming into Janu Shasana, head to knee pose on this side. Arms reach up, or if you're using your strap, wrapping it around your foot as you fold forward, hinging from the hips and lengthening out from here. Taking long, full breaths. Good. Slowly reach the arms up. Exhale, release the arms wide and down by your sides. Take your left hand underneath the knee, and you're going to cross the foot to the outside. It's okay if your hip has to come up to help it there. Good, and then wrap the hands around the knee, squeezing the knee in towards your body, lifting up taller. Good, and then right hand reaches up towards the sky. Exhales, the arm either wraps around the knee or moves to the outside of the knee as your left fingertips come behind you, maybe bending into that elbow. And then keeping your head lifted as if you were balancing a book on your head. Okay, so remember that talk of all, having good posture, having that head lifted up. You may have even seen images of people balancing books on their heads previously. And if you have a block, you can actually put the block on the top of your head to even practice with that. And you can become a blockhead. Good, another full breath in here. And then slowly rotating back in through center out of your half Lord of the Fishes pose. Okay, so now we're gonna go into our side bend stretch, one of my personal favorites. So we did head to knee pose. This is revolved head to knee pose. So we're gonna take our right leg, keep it tucked in our body, and send our left leg wide to the side. You may want to turn sideways on your mat for this one. I do want your left hip to sink down on the ground. So sometimes we do get a little bit tight in that area. Just do the best that you can to settle down into that sit bone. You're going to bring your left elbow just above the kneecap, so in between the flesh and the bone, and keep your shoulder lifted up. Think of our side angle, that we don't want to slouch into the posture. You're going to raise your right arm up towards the sky and bring the arm up and overhead, and then come into the side arch of the torso. Okay, so this is the first expression of the posture. If you'd like to go a little bit deeper, and that's available in your body, then you can bring your left elbow to the floor as you go even deeper. And then maybe you take that left hand across to your shin, and the right arm comes up and over. So eventually you can grab onto the toes, but I don't want you to do it so much that your arm comes below your face or even in front of your face. You want to keep the right arm above your ear the whole time. So that's a little bit too much for me today. So finding what feels best for you. And just breathing into those side ribs. Good. Taking your right arm up. Imagine that there's a rope hanging from the ceiling. You're going to pull yourself up. Woo. All right, switch sides. Left foot tucks in, right leg goes wide. Sinking down through both sit bones, and the elbow comes just above the knee as the left arm comes up and over. Good. Again, you have your option of bringing the arm lower to the floor. And see if you can keep that space off of your left ear, right ear off of your right shoulder. Good. And just feeling how your body can arc to the side, just like our standing half moon that we experienced earlier today. And then left hand goes up, pull onto that rope, and bring yourself upwards. Let's make our way onto our back into our corpse pose. So coming all the way down, extend the legs out in front of you, or keep your knees bent. Bring the arms down by your sides and close your eyes. Maybe place a towel over your eyes and face, if that feels appropriate for you. I'm going to sit up for our reading. So just get more comfortable settling in and noticing what feels like it's still holding on, what's still grasping. Maybe you take a full exhalation out of your mouth to find that release. So the quote for today is from Eckhart Tolle. And he says, conscious breathing, which is a powerful meditation in its own right, will gradually put you in touch with the body. As soon as your habitual state changes from being out of the body and trapped in your mind to being in the body and present in the now, your physical body will feel lighter, clearer, and more alive. When we bring our attention to the breath, we are changing planes, moving from one level of existence to another. Our suffering is largely due to our imagined relationship to the past or to the future. The breath, however, is a doorway to the present. Not only are we gaining significant and well-documented health benefits by paying attention to our breathing, we are also consciously leaving an imagined world and entering the real. Stop any fidgeting that you are doing. Keep your eyes closed. And take 5 breaths right now with your attention resting in the present moment, the present breath. It's powerful. It's real. It is the opportunity you've been waiting for. From where you are, take a longer, deeper breath. And carefully transition over onto one side. So make any movements that are necessary. We will continue with a little more breathing. So rolling onto your side and making your way up eventually into your easy sitting position, Sukhasana. So we will be closing our practice with a little breathing technique known as the Ujjayi Breath. And this Ujjayi Breath is known as the victorious breath. It also has other names like Darth Vader breath, ocean breath, sounding breath. So it kind of gives you a little bit of description as to what is going to be happening with this, this breathing technique, which is sound, okay? And the sound is actually coming from the muscles in the throat. It's the same way that we would contract the muscles in our throat to fog up a mirror or to polish, say, an apple. Okay, so I want you to grab an apple from your imaginary tree, and you're going to take that apple and bring it towards your face. Okay, and then as if you're going to be making that kind of sound, I'd like for you to polish your apple. Okay, so take a full breath in through your nose, open up your mouth, and polish that apple. So you may have noticed, go ahead and release your apple or take a bite. You may have noticed that your breath tended to be a little bit longer, and that's what this breathing technique helps us do, is elongate the breath in a way that it takes longer for the breath to go out of the body, and it stretches the breath out a lot more. So it feels a lot more controlled. Well, when we do that on the inhalation, as we'll keep practicing, you'll start to notice that it draws it in longer and then draws it out longer. So this whole breathing cycle becomes a lot longer and more dragged out. Okay, so let's try this without our apple, but I want you to close your mouth and see if you can kind of polish the back of your upper teeth. Okay, so take a full breath in through your nose. Keep your mouth closed. Okay, and then see if you can make that sound in the throat, but you're going to feel the exhalation kind of pass through your nose. Breathe in through your nose again, slow. And then engage the muscles in your throat, kind of like you're making that whisper sound, and then exhale out. Do this one more time, just breathing normally through your nose. And then exhaling out. See if you can keep those muscles engaged and breathe in. Breathe out. Go at your own pace. One more breath. Good. Let's bring our hands together at our heart center. Feel free to unmute yourself for the closing of our practice. The light within me bows to the light within you. Namaste.
Namaste.
All right, yogis, thank you so much.